for Jermaine Carby. We want justice in this case. The SIU still has not given us any information, and when we call them, they refuse to cooperate with us, which kind of makes us feel that they're working on behalf of the police rather than the community. Jermaine Carby, for a lot of you guys who don't know what happened, his friend was pulled over right in front of this pole. Jermaine got out the car. We're not exactly sure why. We're still not even sure why the car was pulled over in the first place. But Peel Regional Police have a track record of racial profiling, and we believe it needs to stop. Jermaine came out the car. He was walking towards the officers. All of the witnesses said that he didn't have a knife in his hand. I believe that he probably had his cell phone in his hand and they mistaken it for a knife, because Paul Dempsey, who's the lead investigator of the case, who's part of the SIU, called me and asked me for Jermaine's password to his cell phone. So if Jermaine had a knife in his hand, when would he have time to be holding a cell phone? My name is Latanya Grant, and I'm Jermaine's first cousin, as well as the front runner of the Justice for Jermaine committee.
And the committee wants to thank everybody for coming out. We know this is Christmas Eve, but as Latanya just mentioned, her family is spending Christmas Eve without their loved one. Not through any fault of his own, not because he committed any crime, and not because their family committed any crime, but because the institution known as the Peel Regional Police, a body that's supposed to protect and serve, an organization that claims to want to help the community and defend our safety, murdered him. This didn't happen in Ferguson, this didn't happen in St. Louis, this didn't happen in New York. Right here, right in front of this post, Peel Regional Police gunned down a black man in cold blood. So we can go over a long list of names from Junior Alexander Manon, who was beaten to death at York University on May 5th, 2010. Beaten to death. When I say beaten to death, I mean police used their boots, their radios, their fists to break this young man's neck. He was only 18 years old, not in a project stairwell, not in the back of a building, in broad daylight on the middle of a York University campus with several witnesses, including a retired OPP officer. Every single witness to that case says that he was screaming for his life, begging for his life while police were beating him to death, and yet I saw those two officers walk out of the court smiling, as the SIU not only cleared them of all charges, but as the coroner's inquest also said that Junior died from a quote-unquote heart attack. This is what we're dealing with in the city. So we can understand that although the SIU and the media constantly ask us, why are you not letting the SIU just do their investigation? We look at the SIU's history, they have a 98% clearance rate. What that means is that why would Jermaine's family and why would the community that's been dealing with murder after murder after murder expect the SIU to not do what it does 98% of the time? I want to mention one more thing. After the police shot Jermaine 4 times, they cuffed his lifeless body. Okay, the police didn't call the ambulance for Jermaine, it was a civilian witness that called the ambulance. They have no regard for our lives. They shot him like a dog in the street, and as he was on the ground bleeding to death, they cuffed his body. And from the evidence that we have, it indicates they might even have tasered him after they shot him 4 times. The reality is, again, they've stolen a life, and this family, Latanya's family, will be out without their loved one. And it's not just about Jermaine, it's about all the young black men like Jermaine who are spending their Christmas 6 feet under the ground, men and women, as a result of this system.
Questions answered, and I'll reiterate what the questions are. What is the officer's name? Where's the knife? Where is the driver? The driver is still missing in action. We don't know the driver's name or his whereabouts. So he pulled over in the first place. Jermaine lives at Queen and McMurtry. From Queen and McMurtry to Queen and Kennedy, that's less than a 10-minute drive. So he left the SIU disbanded because we do not believe they work on behalf of the family and the community members. We believe they work on behalf of the police. These are our demands. Racial profiling is not acceptable. Police killing innocent civilians, unarmed innocent civilians at that, is not acceptable. Right now you're working for us because you have to direct the cars. So really, you're working on behalf of us, and we thank you for that.
We want to thank the Peel Regional Police for helping us to block off the intersection today. Jermaine is not the first innocent black life to be stolen by the Toronto and Peel Regional Police. There's a long list of unarmed young black men who've been shot down, gunned down, or beaten to death by the police. Junior Alexander Manon was 18 years old when 7 Toronto police officers beat him to death at York University. Those 2 officers are free. In fact, they continue to work in the same police division that killed him in the first place. They have a badge and a gun, and they have a license to kill again.
Justice for Jermaine Carby's life. Another black man was killed by Peel Regional Police. They have a track record of racial profiling in Brampton, pulling over people, carding people, beating up people in the streets, and nothing's being done. Police need to be held accountable for their actions. They can't continue to kill people and get away with it. And that's why we're here, because we want justice for Jermaine Carby.